Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him. Paul Manafort has flipped on Donald Trump. Paul Manafort is the last loyal man, and has now taken a plea deal with special counsel Robert Mueller. That is amazing. Okay, let me give you the details on this, right? Now, the president's former campaign chairman has agreed to cooperate with special counsel Robert Mueller in the investigation, this is very important, of a potential conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia. Prosecutors said it in court on Friday and has already proffered information to the Justice Department. So those of you who say, well, this has nothing to do with the Mueller investigation into Russia, no, they just said it actually has everything to do with the investigation. Now, Manafort also pleaded guilty to one count of conspiracy and one count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. So while the charges against Manafort have nothing to do with the Russia investigation, the whole point of getting Manafort to flip on Donald Trump is to get information on the Russia investigation. So that's why it's very interesting. Now, legal experts have characterized Manafort's move as a significant win for Robert Mueller and a big setback for Donald Trump. In fact, Manafort's cooperation is a tremendous achievement for the Mueller investigation, according to Seth Waxman, a former federal prosecutor in Washington. He said it's, quote, maybe the biggest single development yet. Now, remember, we already have Michael Cohen, that's Donald Trump's personal lawyer. They're also probing into his bank accounts. But now, this is being considered the biggest get. Now, the way that I understand how things work is you don't give a plea deal to someone unless they have significant information. This is the person that they've been trying to get. This is the fish, right? This is the big catch that Mueller tried to get. So, and now apparently they got him. Now, Manafort provides Mueller with an insider to the infamous June 2016 Trump Tower meeting and likely many other key moments. So let me get into the details of this agreement first and why I think it's terrible for Donald Trump. Now, Judge Amy Berman Jackson said on Friday that Manafort's cooperation agreement includes interviews and briefings he'll give to the special counsel's office. He'll also turn over documents and testify in other proceedings, and has waived his right to have an attorney present during his interviews with the special counsel. So that is what the federal investigators will get from this. Okay. Now, what does Paul Manafort get from this? Well, prosecutors have agreed to drop 5 of the 7 charges he would have faced in the D.C. trial, including money laundering and acting as an unregistered foreign agent. Now, Manafort did not contest those accusations as part of his plea agreement, but he will not be charged with them. The government has also dropped the 10 charges that jurors could not reach a verdict on during his trial in Alexandria, Virginia. Now, as part of the deal, he will also forfeit $46 million in cash and properties to the U.S. government. Now, that's $46 million, but he actually made a ton more when he was lobbying on behalf of the government, the Ukrainian government, I should say, towards the United States government. So he did all this lobbying. He actually went broke, by the way, because of his spending habits, and actually had to borrow a bunch of money from banks. Did he have to return that? Apparently not. At least not entirely. So let me go back here to Kevin Downing. That's Paul Manafort's attorney. Outside of the D.C. courthouse on Friday, he told reporters, quote, tough day for Mr. Manafort. But he's accepted responsibility. He wanted to make sure that his family was able to remain safe and live a good life. Now, there are people that are pointing that out, that specifically that they're saying, well, he wanted to make sure his family is safe. Now, why would he go and have to make sure his family is safe? That's a weird thing to say. Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of people talking about, and I don't know if I'm not entirely sure. So big grain of salt here. But some people are interpreting that as, well, I had to make sure my family was safe from reprisal against Vladimir Putin. Again, you're probably going to hear that a lot. I don't know. But anything is possible. Anyway, now, the fact that Paul Manafort was able to get such a good plea deal, and that was a really good plea deal, is pretty important because he was facing the potential of basically spending the rest of his life in prison. That means that he's got something big on President Trump. You don't give such a good deal unless you've got the goods. And Mueller, looking into Trump Russia, he's, again, the big fish. And he was involved with the Trump Tower meeting. He was Donald Trump's campaign chair. Now, that meeting, as I said, what they're looking into is actually pretty important. Manafort, Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner all attended that meeting in June, with Russian nationals offering dirt on Hillary Clinton. Now, we also found out yesterday that prosecutors and basically the federal government are probing suspicious money transfers that happened right after that meeting. Really? Now, that's $20 million was one of those transfers. And then you also had $1 million, and then you had some money also going to a company that's related. So, look, that looks a lot like money laundering. Weird. Now, Matt Waxman, going back to him, he said this is also incredibly important because if the president were to pardon Manafort under these circumstances, the case against the president for obstruction of justice would be even more compelling. Fascinating. Now, of course, as I said before, he is getting something in return for not being able to take that pardon, or the possibility of a pardon. Now, some of you still might be wondering why this is bad for Trump. Well, unlike the Virginia trial, the D.C. proceedings would have focused on issues related more closely to the Russia inquiry, namely Manafort's connection to Russian and pro-Russian entities in Ukraine and his alleged lobbying on their behalf in the United States. Now, of course, President has called this a witch hunt. Well, it's pretty funny. For a witch hunt, they seem to be finding a lot of witches and then making plea deals with them. So far, we've got Papadopoulos, Gates, Cohen, Flynn, Manafort, right? The newest one. In total, 5 of his former aides have pleaded guilty to crimes uncovered by this investigation. That has produced about 187 criminal charges in just over a year, by the way. And again, this witch is arguably the most important, especially since now, before this happened, Donald Trump and Paul Manafort, they had a joint defense agreement. Looks like that agreement is not valid anymore. That gave Manafort, of course, access, since they were developing their strategy to defend each other together. Well, now Manafort knows all that, knows the Trump defense. Here we go. So now, this is going to have President Trump in an absolute rage. There will be no pardon of Paul Manafort after this. Trump apparently is very likely to be going ballistic right now. I mean, just weeks ago, he said that he felt very badly for Paul Manafort and his wonderful family, and that he had such great respect for such a brave man who, quote, refused to break / make up stories in order to get a deal. Well, oops. Incoming meltdown from the White House. And I think it's going to be epic. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.